Good day everyone, you welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to teach us how to make a pencil skirt, long pencil skirt, and the fabric I'm going to use is this. So the total fabric that we'll use for both front and back is just 1.5 for this project. So what I did was I used the hip, and the measurement I'm working with, the waist, the hip, and the length of the fabric. Those are the three major measurements we are going to need for the pencil skirt. So for the waist, I'm using waist 33, hip is 40, and the skirt length is 38 in length. So I use the hip, which is the widest. That is 40 divided by 4 is going to give us 10. I added 2.5. That 2.5 will take care of the allowance and the dart. And I used the hip to fold the fabric. So I folded it into 2 equal parts. I'm using this to cut the front now. So I'm going to deal with the front first. Then later I will use the front to cut the back. So I folded the material into 2 equal parts. And this is the center front. This is the side front. I'm going to start from here. This is the upper part. But before I start, because the edge is straight, I'm going to use it as my starting point downward. So the first thing I'm going to do is to get my line horizontally first. So the waist, this place is going to serve as our waist, and the waist line is, the waist circumference is 33. 33 divided by 4 is going to give us 8.25. So I will measure 8.25. 8.25 plus 1 inch allowance. So 8.25 is this. So I'm adding 2.5 inches. You know, I told us that the 2.5 will take care of both the dart and the allowance that were used to sew it. So it's going to have that because it's a bandless dart. Bandless pencil skirt. So it's going to have that. So the thing I will do now is I'm going to use the client bust span, and the bust span is 8 divided by 2 to give us 4. So I will mark from the center front inward. I will mark 4 inches. So on the 4 inches line, I will place my tape rule in between the line. Then I will measure half towards this side, then half towards this side. So downward, I will measure 4 inches. You can make it 4 inches or 4.5. It depends. Then you make a straight line. Then towards the half, you slant it towards it to form our dart. So that is our dart. So here is, from here to here is 8.25, and here the distance between here is 2.5, which is serving as the sewing allowance and the dart. So the next thing I'm going to do is, from the waist downward, I will measure 9 inches. So on that 9 inches, I will call the line the hip line. That is our hip line. So on the hip line, I will apply the hip circumference measurement there, and the hip I'm working with is 40. 40 divided by 4, it will give us 10. So I will mark 10 plus 2.5 allowance. so it will give me that. So this is our waist, this is our hip. So now on this hip line, I will place my tape rule in between, like 2 inches on the line. Then I will mark 2 inches downward, then 2 inches upward. So from here to here is 2 inches, from the middle to here is 4 inches. So in between, I think I have 2 inches downward, 2 inches upward on the hip line. So the purpose of this is to enhance our shaping. So from here, I will connect this place towards the edge of the down to shape the skirt towards down. Then at the upper side, from these 2 inches, I will use it to shape it at the lower abdomen up to the waist level. So the purpose of doing that, so that this hip line will not be too sharp for the hip. The hip will be able to sit comfortably on the fabric. So this is my hip cuff ruler. So from the 2 inches upward I mark it, I will connect it to the waistline towards the edge of where my waist is. Then I will connect it. I will use the cuff area of my ruler to do that. Then towards down too, I will use it, I will connect it towards the down part. So having used the hip cuff, then I will place my straight ruler from the 2 inches downward I measure below the hip. Then it depends on how curvy or shaped the length the down part of the skirt will be. So if it is a client that need very fitted pencil skirt, then you can go in by 2 inches. Don't forget that it's the measurement of hip that will take down towards the edge of the skirt. So now to curve the pencil skirt, we have to move in by at least minimum of 1.5 or 2 in. So now I'll move in like 1.5 in. Then I will connect the 1.5 to the point of where the 2 inches below the hip is. So this is how it will look like. I don't know if this chalk is showing very well. This is how it will look like. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut it out. So after the cutting, I'm going to repeat this on the back fabric. So this is the front and this is the back. I've repeated the front on the back. So the excess you are seeing here is for the zip allowance, and it's still going to be the same measurement and the same shape, but the little difference between the front and the back is just the zip and the shaping of the center front of this dress. So how do I go about that? So at the waist you discover that both the front and the back is the same now. But if you notice the way God created us, our lower abdomen is somehow curvy. It's not straight as it is straight here. So what I will do is I will shape at the center front. I will come down by 0.5 at the center. Then I will connect it to the midpoint of the waist. So just watch what I'm doing. So here is the midpoint of our front skirt. Then I will connect it and cut it off only at the front. I move down from the center front by 0.5. Then I connect it to the midpoint of the front. Then I will cut it off. I will not do that at the back. As you can see, the front is at the center, is lower than the back. And another purpose of doing this is, it depends. It's not always that you will be using 0.5 to reduce it, but you will consider the center front to the floor of your measurement and the center back to the floor of your measurement. Normally the back is usually higher in figure than the front. So the variance for my client now, the difference between our front, center front to the floor and center back to the floor is 0.5. So if your client's own or the person you are sewing for, if the variance is like 1 or 2, it has to reflect too. You have to make provision for that, so that by the time the person wear the skirt, the hip will not let the skirt jump up at the back. So just to enhance the shaping. So the next thing I'm going to do is to cut exactly the shape of the front at the back, at the side of my skirt. So the way I pencil the down part of my skirt at the front, it has to reflect at the back too. So the next thing I'm going to do is to open the zip allowance. It was folded before, then I have to open it up. Yes, and I have to mark the zip allowance, so that when I'm sewing, the point I launched will automatically tell me where the zip allowance ends or where it starts. So this is how we're going to be doing or cutting our pencil skirt. So the next thing is to take it to the machine and sew. And this skirt is going to have lining. That is why we're adding up to 2.5. So we're going to insert lining and sew it up and show you the look. But as it is, you can make it pencil like this. You can even add upper part to it to make it as gown. But as it is, this is for pencil skirt. Thank you.